My girlfriend informed me that her ex was moving into my apartment. You could learn from him, she smirked. I nodded. When she left, I packed her stuff, changed locks, texted her ex. She's yours now. Her things are at the curb. My phone exploded with her calls, threatening to call the cops. Hey everyone. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. What's up, Reddit? Using a throwaway because this story is still fresh, and I don't need the drama following me to my main account where I post about video games and grilled cheese. I, 30 male, was dating Vicky, 26 female, for about 14 months. We met during a friend's boat trip. She was cute, seemed fun, and things just clicked. Maybe too well. Looking back, she had this way of becoming exactly what I wanted, like some kind of relationship chameleon. Red flag number one that my dumbass completely missed. Things moved pretty fast, and she moved into my place about 6 months ago when her rent got hiked. At least that's what she told me. Found out later her roommate actually kicked her out for borrowing her clothes and jewelry without asking. My apartment isn't fancy, just a one-bedroom in a decent neighborhood, but it's mine. Only my name on the lease, I pay all the bills. Like, all of them. She'd occasionally toss some money for utilities and buy groceries now and then, which she'd remind me constantly counted as paying her fair share. But buying hot Cheetos and White Claw twice a month isn't contributing financially to the household. The first few months were good, or at least I thought they were. When you're in the middle of a slow-motion train wreck, sometimes you don't even notice the smoke until the whole thing's on fire. I started noticing weird patterns about 3 months in, the kind of stuff that makes you feel crazy for even bringing up. But there was always this shadow hanging over us. A 6 feet 2 inches shadow named Chris. Chris was her ex. They dated for almost 3 years before they broke up about 8 months before we met. And man alive, did I hear about Chris. All the time. It started with little things. We'd be watching a movie and she'd go, "Oh, Chris and I saw this in theaters." He hated the ending. Or we'd try a new restaurant. Chris always said their pasta was overrated, but their steak is fire. Or I'd suggest a weekend trip. Chris and I went there once. It rained the whole time, but we made the best of it. Always with this dreamy little smile, like she was reliving some magical moment. The first few times, I let it slide. Past relationships come up, whatever. I'm not some insecure teenager. But it kept happening. Pretty much daily. Sometimes hourly. One night, about 3 months in, I finally said something. We were cooking dinner and she mentioned how Chris makes this with more garlic. He learned it from his Italian grandmother. Did I ever tell you about the time we went to Naples? Hey, can I ask you something? I put down the spatula. Why do you bring up Chris so much? She looked surprised, like I just asked why humans need oxygen. Do I? I don't think I do. You kind of do, like, a lot actually. We can't seem to go a single day without hearing about Chris and his superior pasta skills, or Chris and his amazing travel stories, or Chris and his whatever. We were together for 3 years, Ryan. He's just part of my history. It doesn't mean anything. She shrugged and went back to chopping vegetables like I was being ridiculous. I dropped it that time. Tried to convince myself I was overreacting. But the Chris comments didn't stop. If anything, they increased. A month later, we were shopping and she held up a sweater. Chris had one like this. It looked really good on him. You might look good in it too. Like I was supposed to be flattered by the comparison? I tried again. Seriously, what's with all the Chris references? It's getting a little weird. She got defensive, eyes flashing. God, are you that insecure? We're just friends. It's not a big deal. You're friends? You still talk to him regularly? This was news to me. Yeah, we text sometimes. So what? We didn't end on bad terms or anything. He's a good guy. That was news to me. But again, I tried to be the cool, understanding boyfriend who doesn't get jealous about exes hanging around. My first mistake. But I was actually getting destined. I kept going to work, hitting the gym occasionally, and trying to convince myself everything was fine. At the office, Cassidy from accounting always said hi when we passed in the hallway. Just 3 words. Hey, Ryan. But her eyes said more. She'd smile this little smile that made me feel like a human being again, instead of a walking ATM therapist combo. Not that I was checking her out or anything. I don't roll like that. But sometimes when your relationship is turning into a dumpster fire, it's nice to be reminded that normal, sane people exist. The thing that really started to eat at me was how Vicky would act all coupley on social media, but completely different in real life. posting pics of us with captions like, my forever person, but then spending our actual anniversary night texting constantly under the table at dinner. Acting wounded when I didn't buy her expensive gifts, but never remembering anything important about my life. The woman couldn't name my best friends after a year together, but expected me to memorize her entire extended family's birthdays. About 5 months into living together, I realized something truly depressing. I was happier when she wasn't home. When she was gone, I could actually relax, watch what I wanted, eat what I wanted, not worry about saying the wrong thing, and triggering an hour-long argument about how I never support her dreams. Which changed weekly, by the way. One week it was opening a bakery, the next it was becoming a travel influencer. I started working late just to have some peace, volunteered for weekend shifts, anything to not be home alone with her, and that weird tension that filled every room. My buddy Marcus noticed and asked if everything was okay. I gave him some bullshit about saving up for a vacation, but I think he knew. He'd been through something similar with his ex a couple years back. Then came the night that changed everything. I was in the kitchen making stir-fry. Nothing fancy, just trying to throw together something decent for dinner after a long-ass day at work. I'm no chef, but I can handle the basics without burning the place down. Was trying this new sauce I found at the Asian market. The old lady who owned the place practically forced me to buy it, insisting it would change my cooking forever. She wasn't wrong. I was focusing on not overcooking the vegetables, learned that lesson the hard way, when Vicky came home from her spin class, still in her workout clothes, phone in hand as usual. She seemed particularly energetic, almost giddy, not even sweaty, which was weird for someone who supposedly just did 45 minutes of intense cardio. Hey babe, she said, grabbing a piece of bell pepper from the cutting board. So I need to talk to you about something. Those words never lead to anything good. Ever. In the history of relationships. What's up? I kept my eyes on the walk. I'd stopped dropping everything to give her my full attention months ago, after realizing it was always some minor drama or complaint that could absolutely have waited. So there's this situation with one of my friends. His landlord is selling the building, and everyone has to be out by the end of the month. He's having trouble finding a new place because everything's so expensive right now. I could sense where this was heading. I put the spatula down slowly, feeling like I was in one of those movies where everything starts moving in slow motion. He needs a place to crash for a bit, she continued, scrolling through her Instagram like this was the most casual conversation ever, literally not even looking at me while suggesting adding another human to our living situation. Just until he finds something new. A month, maybe 2 tops. You want a friend to move in with us? I asked, keeping my voice neutral even though internally alarms were blaring. Who exactly are we talking about? She hesitated for just a second. That little pause told me everything I needed to know. It's someone you've heard me mention before, she mumbled, suddenly fascinated by her nails. I raised an eyebrow. Who? She shifted her weight. Just a friend. From before. I waited. Didn't say a word, just stared. Finally, she sighed like I was dragging it out of her. Chris, she muttered, barely above a whisper. There it was. The ghost she swore was dead and buried. Chris, I repeated, making sure she heard the weight in my voice. As in your ex-boyfriend, Chris? Yeah, but he's just a friend now, obviously. She said it way too fast, like trying to outrun the obvious. Listen, he's super quiet, super respectful. You might actually learn something from him. He's amazing at fixing stuff, and honestly, his cooking makes yours look like struggle meals. No offense. She gave me this bright, fake smile, like she was doing me a favor instead of trying to sneak her ex into my apartment, like a Trojan horse with better recipes. But the way she said it, like it's not a big deal. Trying to move your ex-boyfriend into your current boyfriend's apartment? Totally normal Tuesday behavior. Why didn't you mention that part first? And why are you making this decision without even asking me? This is my apartment. Our apartment, she corrected. Which was total nonsense, since my name's the only one on the lease, and I paid 100% of the rent and about 90% of everything else. I wanted to snap. Just unload everything I'd been holding in. Every lie, every excuse, every fake girls' night she'd weaponized as a smokescreen. But then I looked at her. She was so confidently detached from reality, genuinely believing this was a reasonable ask. Like moving her ex in wasn't the kind of thing that should shatter a relationship. That's when it hit me. She didn't see this as a relationship anymore. Not really. To her, this was a living arrangement with perks. I wasn't a partner. I was background noise with a wallet. And no amount of talking was going to bring her back to earth. So I don't know what came over me, but I just said, okay. I knew right then I was done with her, but I wanted to see how far she'd take this charade, how much she thought she could get away with. Sometimes you gotta let people show you exactly who they are. She looked surprised for a second, then grinned. Really? That's great. You're the best. She kissed my cheek. I'll let him know. He's thinking about bringing some stuff over tomorrow. I'm going to jump in the shower. As she walked away, I noticed she was already typing on her phone, no doubt telling Chris the good news. Her thumbs were moving so fast you'd think she was disarming a bomb. I just stood there, feeling weirdly calm, despite the fact that my relationship had essentially just exploded in my face. For the next hour, I just mechanically finished making dinner while she showered and got ready. My mind was racing, planning my next move. She came out in fresh clothes and grabbed a plate. No thank you for cooking, no offer to do dishes, just took food like it was her birthright. This is pretty good, she said between bites, sounding surprised that I'd managed to make something edible. Oh, and Chris might swing by later to check out the living room situation. Is that cool? The audacity. The absolute brass balls on this woman. Tomorrow, right? Not tonight? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. No, tomorrow probably. Hey, I'm going to Target to pick up a few things, then meeting Jen for drinks. Don't wait up. She kissed me on the cheek and was out the door before I could respond. I heard her car start, and something inside me just snapped. I called Jen right after Vicky left, just to confirm my suspicions. Hey Ryan, what's up? Jen answered, sounding surprised to hear from me. Are you meeting Vicky for drinks tonight? I asked point blank. The pause told me everything. No. I haven't talked to her since last weekend. Great, thanks. That's all I needed to know. I hung up and stared at the half-eaten stir-fry congealing on my plate. Well, there it was. The final nail in the coffin of what I'd thought was a serious relationship. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore, just lying on autopilot because it was easier than telling the truth. So the moment her car pulled out of the lot, I checked the time. 7:22 p.m. She usually spent at least an hour at Target, plus drinks with Jen, which I now knew was code for hanging out with Chris. Meant at least 2 or 3 hours minimum. I had plenty of time, but better to be safe. I stood in the middle of the kitchen and made my decision. This ends now. Not tomorrow, not after some big dramatic confrontation. Now I grabbed the storage bins from the hall closet and started with her clothes. Not carefully folding them, just grabbing armfuls and stuffing them in. Her precious $200 jeans went in with her Forever 21 tank tops. Her special occasion dresses crammed in with gym clothes she barely used. Almost tossed in my favorite hoodie before remembering it was mine. She just wore it so often it lived in her drawer. She'd taken over 3 of my dresser drawers, despite coming with barely 2 suitcases of clothes. Funny how that works. I checked the time. 7:40 p.m. Moving too slow. Had to pick up the pace before she potentially returned. In the bathroom, I swept all her makeup, face washes, and hair products into a bin. Dozens of half-used bottles of serums and creams, most still with price tags attached. Her fancy jade face roller that cost $75 went in too. I remembered how she'd hide it whenever her friend would call. God forbid Chris find out she spent that much on a piece of rock to rub on her face. I found her jewelry box tucked behind my gaming consoles, which was weird because she claimed to never know where anything was. Inside was not only her jewelry, but a couple pieces I didn't recognize, including a man's watch. Not my style, not my size. I tossed it all in the bin. While tossing her stuff into bins like expired groceries, I started calling locksmiths between loads. The first 2 were a bust, booked solid or not working nights. The third one finally bit, but only with a steep emergency after-hours fee. $250 just to show up. Total daylight robbery, but considering the situation, worth every cent. He said he'd be there in 45 minutes. I gave him the address and went right back to packing. By 8:30, I had most of her stuff gathered. 3 storage bins, 2 suitcases, and a garbage bag of shoes. I definitely missed some things. Her stuff was everywhere after 6 months. But I got the obvious items. The things she'd actually care about. Her precious collection of Bath and Body Works candles she never lit but constantly bought. Her stack of self-help books she displayed but never read. The throw pillows she'd insisted we needed despite them making the couch practically unusable. I found a shoebox hidden under the bed, filled with ticket stubs, photos, and what looked like love letters. Curious, I opened one. It was dated 3 months ago, well into our relationship, and signed, Forever Yours, C. That went straight into the bin. No time for that pain right now. I checked my phone. No text from Vicky, just as well. The locksmith showed up at 9:05. The guy gave me a knowing look when he saw all the packed bags. Rough night? He asked, setting up his tools. Long time coming, I replied. I showed him my lease and ID to prove I had the right to change the locks. He nodded and got to work. Women, huh? he said, while installing the new deadbolt. I didn't respond to that. It wasn't about women. It was about Vicky and her lies. About the person I thought I knew who turned out to be someone completely different. Tony worked in silence after that, probably thinking I was in some kind of emotional shock. Maybe I was. By 9:40, new locks were installed. 2 new keys in my hand. I paid him, adding a $50 tip because I appreciated him coming so quickly. Also because I wanted him to remember me favorably in case the police ask questions later. Not my proudest thought, but you gotta be strategic in crisis situations. As soon as he left, I started carrying the bins and bags down to the curb. 4 trips up and down the stairs, constantly checking my phone. One of the neighbors definitely saw me from her balcony, but just gave me a little nod. I think she'd seen Vicky sneaking out at odd hours enough times to put 2 and 2 together. Mrs. Wilson didn't miss much. Former high school principal with eyes like a hawk. I arranged everything neatly. I'm not a monster. And took a photo of the pile. Now for the hard part. I needed Chris's number. I scrolled through Vicky's contacts list on my laptop. She'd logged into her Google account on it months ago and never logged out. Found a Chris with a different last name than what she'd once mentioned. Listed under work contacts, even though they definitely didn't work together. Clever girl. His number was there, just waiting to be used. I sent him the photo. Vicky's moving in with you now. Her things are at my place. She said you'd be thrilled to have her. 10:13 p.m. Still plenty of time before she'd be back from her Target run and drinks with Jen. I went inside, locked both new locks, and sat on the couch. My hands were actually shaking. Adrenaline is weird like that. You can feel completely calm in your head, but your body knows you're in fight or flight mode. For about 20 minutes, nothing happened. The apartment was weirdly quiet. I could hear the fridge humming, the neighbor's TV through the wall, a car alarm going off somewhere in the distance. Then my phone erupted. 18 missed calls, 9 voicemails, 31 texts. I scrolled through them. Ryan, what is wrong with you? Answer your phone right now. Are you insane? My stuff is on the street. I'm coming home right now. You're going to regret this. Chris is freaking out. You can't do this. My clothes are outside. It might rain. This is a BUSE. I'm calling the police right now. This is illegal. That last one made my stomach drop. Could she really get me in trouble? Was this technically an illegal eviction? I put my phone on silent and tried to breathe. This was going to be a long night. I called Marcus, who's in his last year of law school, but it went to voicemail. Great. The one time I actually need legal advice from the guy who constantly tries to explain obscure contract law at parties, and he's unavailable. I paced the apartment, jumping at every sound, half expecting to hear sirens at any moment. Around 11:30 p.m., the pounding started. Not knocking, pounding. The kind that makes the door shake in its frame, and probably woke up half the building. Ryan, open this door right now! I peeked through the peephole. Vicky was there, mascara running down her face, looking like a raccoon caught in a flood. Chris stood behind her looking uncomfortable in his button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He kept glancing around like he wanted to be anywhere else. Tall dude, conventionally handsome, I guess, with that carefully styled I don't care about my hair look that definitely takes 45 minutes to achieve. He looked exactly like the kind of guy who'd have a secret bathroom camera. Ryan, I know you're in there. This is my home too. I took a deep breath. Vicky, this is my apartment. My name is on the lease. You decided your ex was moving in without being honest about who he was. I didn't agree to that. Your belongings are outside. Please leave. You can't do this. I have rights. You're not on the lease. You don't pay rent. Simple facts, stated calmly. I'll sue you. I'll tell everyone what an abusive asshole you are. I'll ruin your life. My actual thought at that moment where, what if I had messed up legally? What if she could actually ruin me over this? I've seen those Reddit posts where guys get absolutely destroyed by the legal system, even when they weren't in the wrong. Chris finally spoke up. Vicky, come on. Let's just go. We can figure this out tomorrow. He sounded tired, maybe even a little embarrassed. I wondered if this was how she operated in all her relationships, creating drama, pitting people against each other. Always the victim. Don't tell me what to do, she screamed at him. Then back to my door. Ryan, you have until 3 to open this door. 1, 2, ... I stayed silent. What was she going to do at 3 exactly? Break down the door? Call in an airstrike? Fine. You asked for this. I'm calling 911 right now. I heard her dialing, then launching into a tearful story about how her boyfriend had thrown her out on the street and she was afraid for her safety and didn't know where she would sleep tonight. Oscar-worthy performance. Honestly, if lying was an Olympic sport, Vicky would have gold medals lining the walls. After about 15 more minutes of threats and pounding, a neighbor yelled, "Shut up or I'm calling the cops myself." Chris finally managed to pull her away. The last thing I heard was, "This isn't over." I barely slept that night, jumping at every sound, expecting police at my door any minute. Fuck you, Marcus, in case you're reading this. I literally played out every scenario in my head. Being arrested, having to explain to my boss why I missed work because I was in jail, trying to afford a lawyer on my meager savings. Good times. Around 1 a.m., Vicky's friend Jen called. I almost didn't answer, figuring it was Vicky using her phone, but decided to risk it. "Ryan, what the hell happened? Vicky just called me crying her eyes out saying you threw all her stuff on the street and changed the locks." I was exhausted but explained, "She told me tonight her ex, Chris, was moving in with us. Pretended he was just a friend until I called her out. Been hiding their relationship for months. I'm not okay with that, Jen." Jen was quiet for a moment. "Wait, Chris was moving in? And she just told you? Didn't ask? And she's been talking to him behind your back this whole time?" "Yep." "Okay, wow. That's really messed up. I always wondered why she'd leave our girls' nights early to run errands. But throwing her stuff out, that's pretty extreme, Ryan. What was I supposed to do? Let her ex-boyfriend move into my apartment after she's been lying to me for months?" She sighed. "I don't know. This whole situation is a mess, but be careful, okay? She's saying she's going to get you in trouble legally." That didn't help my anxiety at all. But it was interesting that Jen seemed more surprised by Vicky's behavior than mine. Like maybe Vicky had a history of this kind of thing that I didn't know about. After we hung up, I took a sleeping pill and passed out on the couch. Didn't want to sleep in the bed we'd shared. Felt tainted somehow. The next morning, I woke up to more texts demanding I let Vicky in to get her essential items. Her list included the TV. We picked it out together. No, I bought it while she pointed at the biggest one and said, "That one." Her work laptop. It was at her office. She'd complained about having to lug it back and forth just last week. The vintage record player. A gift from my brother for my birthday. Her important financial documents. This was actually concerning. The emotional support plant. A cactus I'd had for 3 years before I met her. My grandmother's jewelry. Her grandmother was alive and living in Florida. The documents worried me. What if I'd missed something important? I texted back, "I packed what I could find that was yours. If there are specific essential items you need, send a detailed list through someone else. I'll check if they're here and can leave them with the building manager. You are not coming inside." Her response was a string of nasty insults that would make a sailor blush. Something about my mother, my manhood, and my future prospects of ever finding someone who could tolerate me. I blocked her number after that. Life's too short. Around noon, Marcus finally called back. Thank God he woke up. "Dude, I just saw your calls. What's going on? You okay?" I gave him the full rundown. Her trying to move in her ex, me packing her stuff, her flipping out and threatening legal action. I tried to sound calm, but my voice was all over the place. He listened, then gave me the kind of half-reassuring, half-concerning breakdown only a law student could deliver. The good news? She wasn't on the lease. The bad news? These kinds of self-help evictions can get messy, especially if she could prove she'd been living there long enough to claim some sort of tenant rights. He asked the basics. How long she'd been there, whether she got mail at my place, if she'd paid any bills. I told him, yeah, 6 months or so, mail came here, and while she didn't pay rent, she'd occasionally toss some cash toward utilities and groceries. Nothing regular. He said it was probably fine, especially since she tried to sneak her ex into the place without my okay. Still, he warned me there was a slim chance things could get complicated. Told me to document everything, every text, every screenshot, especially the ones where she hinted at bringing Chris in. And if the cops did show up, be calm, show the lease, and explain it was a safety issue. Not exactly the solid, "you're totally in the clear" I was hoping for, but it was better than nothing. I spent the next few days jumping at every knock, convinced it would be the police coming to haul me away. Even ordered delivery and told them to just leave it at the door because I was too paranoid to open up. Around noon the second day, Chris texted me. Surprisingly civil. "Hey man, Vicky needs some important stuff she says is still at your place. Can you check when you have time?" No apology, but at least he wasn't threatening me. I searched through what was left of her things. Mostly junk she'd left in drawers and cabinets, and found a folder with some banking statements and a passport. Also, a framed photo of her and Chris that she'd kept hidden in her nightstand, which was a special kind of messed up. I put it all in a manila envelope and left it with the building manager as promised. Chris picked it up the next day. According to the manager, he seemed embarrassed by the whole situation and barely made eye contact. Good. At least someone had the decency to feel awkward about this disaster. After 4 days of tense waiting, no police had shown up. I started to breathe easier. Maybe she was bluffing, or maybe even the cops didn't want to deal with this level of relationship drama. But a week later, the real bomb dropped. I ran into Jen at the coffee shop near my work. Total coincidence. I was grabbing my usual black coffee with an extra shot, and she was in line ahead of me. "Ryan, holy moly, have you heard what's going on with Chris?" She looked both horrified and like she was dying to share gossip. "No. What?" "So my roommate's sister works with this girl who used to date Chris's roommate. Apparently, Chris got kicked out of his old place because he was caught setting up his phone to secretly record his roommate's girlfriend in the bathroom. The roommate beat the tar out of him and threw him out. And the worst part? The video somehow got leaked, and now Chris is in this group chat where women warn each other about creeps." My stomach dropped. "Are you serious? That's why he needed a place to stay?" "Yup. Total lie about the landlord selling the building. He's a straight-up pervert." She pulled out her phone. "And get this. Someone tagged Vicky in one of these threads exposing Chris yesterday. She knows what he did, Ryan." She showed me the post. There it was. Vicky tagged with a comment. "This girl is still defending him. Watch out for her too." I felt sick but also relieved. I dodged more than just an annoying roommate situation. I dodged a predator in my home. "Have you talked to Vicky about this?" I asked. Jen rolled her eyes. "She's claiming it's all a misunderstanding and Chris is the victim of a jealous ex. But like 5 women have come forward saying he had hidden cameras in bathrooms and changing rooms. There are receipts, Ryan, screenshots, police reports, and she's still standing by him. It's messed up." I took a screenshot of one of the posts and sent it straight to Marcus, just to put a legal pin in it. His reply came back fast, basically confirming I dodged a full-on disaster. If Chris had moved in, it would have been a nightmare with a camera angle. During this whole conversation, Cassidy walked by our table. "Hey, Ryan." Just 3 words. She smiled. I smiled back. Jen noticed and raised an eyebrow, but didn't comment. Thank God for small mercies. As word spread, Vicky's support system crumbled faster than a sandcastle at high tide. According to Jen, even people who initially thought I was the bad guy in this situation started backing away from Vicky when they learned about Chris's hobby. 2 days after Jen showed me the posts about Chris, Vicky called me from a new number, screaming. Not because she was innocent, but because now she was publicly linked to him online. "This is your fault," she screamed. "People are tagging me. My boss saw it. I might get fired." "Sounds like a you problem," I said before hanging up. Not my proudest moment, but I'd run out of patience for her victim act. She kept trying to contact me through random numbers, mutual friends, even had her little sister message me on Instagram. I blocked them all. Did I feel bad? Hell nah. According to Jen, who had become my unexpected source of intel in this saga, Vicky and Chris had been staying with Vicky's older sister Megan. But when one of Megan's coworkers sent her the bathroom recording story, she lost it. Waited until they went out for burritos and changed her locks. Left their stuff in garbage bags on the porch with a note that said, "Perverts not welcome here." Harsh, but fair. They crashed with Chris's college buddy for a few days until his girlfriend found out about the bathroom videos and kicked them both out. Last I heard, they were sleeping in her car, which had to be uncomfortable for a dude Chris's size. Couldn't have happened to a nicer couple, and the police never showed up at my apartment. I let Chris pick up one last box of Vicky's stuff I found. Some mail, a few books, and her backup hair straightener, through the building manager. Didn't want to see either of their faces again. About 2 weeks after the lockout, my buddy Derek called. "Dude, have you seen what Vicky's posting about you online? It's wild." I hadn't checked her social media, figured that would just be inviting more drama into my life. But I wanted to see what lies she made up, so I used Derek's phone to look. It was bad. Really bad. Posts calling me abusive, controlling, unstable. Claims I'd monitored her phone, isolated her from friends, even threatened her physically. All complete fabrications, but written convincingly enough that people who didn't know me might believe them. "This is insane," I said, handing the phone back to Derek. "None of this happened." "I know, man. That's why I'm showing you. You might want to think about getting ahead of this." He was right. I took screenshots of everything, downloaded our text history showing her plans to move Chris in, and sent it all to Marcus for safekeeping. I wasn't planning to do anything with it unless she escalated further, but better safe than sorry. According to what Jen reluctantly shared but clearly enjoyed telling me, Vicky and Chris were in hell right now. They couldn't find anywhere to stay because the bathroom video scandal followed them everywhere. Her parents wouldn't take them in because her dad never liked Chris in the first place. She lost her job at the marketing firm when her boss found out about the bathroom recording situation. Apparently, they have some major clients who work with women's shelters. Her car got repossessed last week because she couldn't make payments. She's been essentially blacklisted on social media, with people tagging her as Creep Defender on every platform. Vicky sent one final email from a new address since I blocked her, claiming I'd destroyed her life and ruined her reputation and demanding money for emotional distress and emergency housing costs. I deleted it without finishing it. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's been about a month since what my friends now call the Great Bin Eviction. No regrets. Not a single one. For me, life's looking up. Yesterday, I asked someone if she wanted to grab dinner after work. I'll let you guess who. She said yes. Turns out those 3 words she'd say to me in the hallway meant something after all. We've been texting nonstop since then, and it's crazy how different it feels to talk to someone normal. No games, no hidden agendas, just actual conversation with a human being who isn't trying to manipulate me. My buddies took me out to celebrate my freedom, as they called it. Marcus admitted he'd never liked Vicky, but hadn't wanted to say anything. Derek said she'd always had a weird vibe. Even my mom, who tries to see the good in everyone, just said, "I'm glad you're happy again, Ryan," in a tone that spoke volumes. The whole experience taught me some valuable lessons about boundaries, self-respect, and trusting my gut. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And when they try to move their creepy ex into your apartment, change the locks. So that's my story, Reddit. Actually, don't care if I am the a-hole. Some trash takes itself out.